I remember one time I was living at New Vrindavan, and one guest, he came from the southern part of America, very simple man. He just came very quiet, and he was just looking all around the community. He just looked like a very ordinary person, just looking all around. He didn't know where he was going, what he was doing. He was just walking. So I approached him, and I said, "Good morning. Is this the first time you've been here?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Have you ever been to any temple of Krishna before?" He said, "No, this is the first time I've ever been to a temple." I said, "Have you ever met a devotee before?" He said, "No, I've never seen a devotee before. You're the first devotee I've ever seen in my whole life." So we began to talk, and we took him to Prabhupada's palace and was telling him about the regular tour of Prabhupada's palace, about how the palace was built and about the different types of marbles and all these things. And then we came to Prabhupada's room, and he looked at Prabhupada, and I started explaining something about Prabhupada to him. And then I told him that every day Prabhupada taught us we should chant the holy names of Krishna. He said, "I'm already chanting 16 rounds every day." I said, "You're chanting 16 rounds?" He said, "Yes." I said, "What are you chanting?" He said, "I'm chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. And I said, "Really? You're chanting like this every day, 16 rounds?" He said, "Yes. It takes me almost 2 hours every day." "What else do you do?" He says, "I don't have illicit sex, I don't take intoxication, I don't eat meat, and I don't gamble. And whatever I eat, I first make sure it's prasad." I said, "What's prasad?" He said, it's when you offer food to Krishna with devotion. I said, "Where did you learn these things?" He said, "I also learned that I'm always supposed to remember Krishna and Ram all the time. And I'm always remembering them because I'm always chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. And I said, "Where did you learn these things?" He said, "I read it in that book, the Bhagavad Gita." I said, "Where did you get this Bhagavad Gita?" He said, "I'm a very top construction welder, very high paid. He does the most sensitive jobs of welding in big industrial construction work." He said, "So one day I was doing my laundry at some place, and I was eating watermelon." So he told me this was the most fateful moment of his whole life, when he was eating watermelon. And there was a garbage can. So he said, as he was eating the watermelon, he was spitting the seeds in the garbage can. And accidentally, the watermelon slipped out of his hands and fell deep down into the garbage can. So he reached down to try to find the watermelon. Yeah. Underneath the other garbage he was reaching, and he found it. And he picked it up. He told me it wasn't the watermelon, but it was a book called Bhagavad Gita. I said, "It's called Bhagavad Gita." He said, "I've been reading that book for 3 years, and I never knew how to say it." And then he said, "But am I chanting that mantra properly?" And I said, "It's Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare."
He said, "I've been chanting 16 rounds for 3 years now, but I never knew how to say it, because I never met a devotee. I'm only saying what I'm reading." He said, but I never knew there was such thing as devotees till I saw you. Somehow or other he found out about New Vrindavan. So he said, I've come to surrender. He said, I want to surrender everything. He said, this is what I read, that I'm supposed to surrender everything. And then he said, I read, Sarva Dharman Parityajya, and they said it all different ways. He said, you're supposed to abandon everything and just surrender to Krishna. This is what I learned for reading this book, so I want to surrender everything to Krishna. So he had a house trailer, he had 2 cars, he had about $50,000 worth of welding equipment. He said, am I allowed to give all this to my guru? Because I read that you're supposed to give everything to your guru. I said, yes, you are supposed to do like this. He said, I have permission. I said, I'm sure you can get permission. So this is an example of someone who never met a devotee before, but was living perfectly as a devotee for 3 years and completely and properly understood our whole philosophy. Didn't understand the proper pronunciation. Just by coming in contact with one of these wonderful books. So this is the power of transcendental knowledge. And this is the greatest service that we can offer to humanity, is by somehow or other influencing people's lives by which they could live according to this transcendental knowledge. The world is suffering so terribly because of a lack of proper understanding of the goal of life.
You were listening to Radhanath Swami on devotionalnectar.com.